I guess. So sorry to put you guys off a day. Been under the weather. Sounds like Barnsy's under the weather. My voice is. I didn't do the radio show last night because I didn't have much of a voice. I didn't. I only came in to. We had a recruit on campus, so I've been down and out. Didn't want to expose whatever gunk I had to the team.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have minded exposing anybody else. Maybe I did to Barnsey. I don't know. He's out. He's out with it today.
Guy and everything else.
Oh, has he got pink eye?
Computer crash.
Oh, jeez.
He's had a very tough life.
So I'm still in catch-up mode here. Let me just do a quick recap of Ohio State. I'll just field your questions, but 2 games I thought we had a chance to win. We didn't make enough plays in key times, either offensively or defensively, to win the games. I thought we had opportunities on our power play, and we needed some kills on our penalty kill to give us a chance to win the games. I thought our guys played hard both nights. Second night we go down by 3 goals, and yet I liked how hard we fought to get back into the game. And I thought they did a good job taking advantage of creating some puck luck for themselves, and we didn't. And that's been the story of our season. So we get ready for Penn State. Penn State's going through their own ups and downs in the second half of the year. They're going to come in, I would anticipate. Come on in, Graham. I would anticipate that they'll play very desperate because they're in the NCAA tournament mix as it sits right now, and lost a pretty emotional game on Saturday night. It was a real good game as a fan to watch, and so I'm sure that stings a little bit. But they're a hard team to play against. They started the season playing with tons of confidence. I know they haven't been on the best run the second half of the season so far, but they've also played against some pretty good teams. So there'll be hard-fought games that we'll play on the weekend. That's what I would anticipate.
Tom, last week it was Ohio State, the second highest-scoring team in the country. Now it's Penn State, the highest-scoring team. What do you see are the differences in defending against these two teams? What makes them unique and different at the same time?
Well, both teams have had pretty good power plays overall, so that's been a key to their success. Ohio State's been a team that they've scored lots off the rush, and they've created a lot of odd man rushes. Like the first night against us, I think they had 9 odd man rushes, and that's been a key to their success. Where Penn State is one of those teams that they get a lot of offense from their defense, and they kind of swarm you. I think they're a team that does a good job playing in groups of 5, and they do that on the attack and they do that defensively, and they approach it differently. Where both, I'd say, try to be possession-based teams, but Penn State will throw anything, as you know, from anywhere at the net and try to create outnumbered scrambles in front of the net to create scoring chances. Ohio State doesn't go about it quite that way, but both of them have been very effective with their approach.
They're a program that started from brand new. Is this sort of the program when you try to preach patience to people that you struggle against the most in explaining the difference between where they were and what you took over a little bit?
Oh, I don't really compare. I guess I shouldn't say. You do comparisons to try to see how things are built in different places. It's different when you're starting. It's different when you're completely starting from scratch, and you can try to align with your class sizes, your scholarship allocations. It's just different. You can kind of pick and choose how you're going to go about it. Whereas in my situation, that's not how it was. You have certain dynamics that exist, and you've got to go try to figure out how you're going to make the best of those dynamics. And so I think Guy has done a very good job with taking something from I guess it was at the club status, and they made the determination that we're going to go out and turn varsity, I think maybe a year earlier than anticipated, and part of that was a rostering strategy that I thought was real smart. And so I don't know, I guess I'm sure others can look at things from that perspective. Those weren't the cards that we were dealt here, so I try to deal in the realities of where we were. If I could go back and do a few things differently, would I? I would, with the hindsight of 2020, because some of the moves that we made I thought were really good strategic moves that for other reasons didn't necessarily play out because of early signings or injuries and red shirts or whatever. So I think it's really hard to I could see how, I guess to answer your question, I could see how people can compare the two, but I really think you're comparing apples and oranges, given the dynamics of where we both start.
With this being the last series at home for this season and having your seniors kind of go out, what are your thoughts on their season and career thus far here at Michigan State?
Well, it's a group that has worked really hard. I'd like to see them win more games, and they'd like to see themselves win more games. I will say this, that one of the key changes or key focal points that we had in trying to establish a foundation here was to have a certain commitment level by all our players, a certain passion to play the game, a certain work ethic that we know we can count on every day. And I would say that this group of guys, and who are we losing from this class? Mackenzie McEachern would have been in this group had he not left at the end of last season. Those guys really established that. I thought, you look at especially kids like Ebbing and Cox, those guys work hard like every day. And that's not to diminish the other guys at all, but those guys really kind of stand out. Holland's a player who actually was redshirted into this group. He was hurt one year and had a medical redshirt. And he's got a great work ethic too. And Haig, I can go right down the line. But I think, for all of them, it's a frustration of not winning enough, and yet as they look back on their careers, all of them will know that they've given all the effort that they could give. And, there's still a lot of hockey left in this season, so they can still write their story.
Mason Appleton has been a key offensive cog for you guys. He also seems to have been developed a little bit of an edge to his game. I think, looking back on last weekend, I think I remember him seeing in most, if not all, of the little scrums that happened between you guys and Ohio State. Have you seen that as well, and is that kind of an edge to his play, something you want to see grow or want to kind of pull back a little bit?
Oh, I don't mind seeing. I like seeing players playing with an edge. I think he's an emotional player, and I think that's positive. I think our team needs more of that kind of emotional edge. I think that's real positive. So I like how it's growing. I mean, you have to certainly play with discipline, but there's an emotional edge in this game that you need. Excuse me. And I think that's part of his growth as a player. So as he gets older, as he matures as a player, as he matures as a leader on the team, being able to channel that emotion in the right ways is something that I'm sure he'll learn. I think he's done a pretty good job with it, but I think that can also be inspiring to your teammates.
You said Penn State will be desperate. Can you find a way, or will the last two home games enable your team to play with some desperation?
Well, we need to. We need to find that desperation just playing down the stretch. We're playing very good teams. Like I talked about it going into Ohio State. They're a good team. They're a top 10, top 15 team in the country. And For the most part, I liked how we played against them. I thought we played a lot of good minutes, just not enough to get over the hump. That's kind of been our story, And so we have to keep pushing because in the end, if you win the right games, it gives you a chance to continue to progress. And so that has to be the hope that we maintain throughout the remainder of the season. And so you want to finish strong. We're not happy with our home record. We're not happy with how we've performed at home to date. We want to send our seniors out on the right note. We know we're playing against a team that's hard to play against, and we'll play very desperate. We have to match that desperation, even though it might be for different reasons. So I think learning how to play with that desperation is important. It always concerns me when you have a team that's playing a lot of younger guys because oftentimes those guys, get onto your team. And it's something I talk about with our team and even those guys is that I know myself when I came as a freshman, you want to contribute to the team. You want the team to win, but you also want to kind of get your feet on the ground and settled in. And it's easy, maybe not top of mind, but it's easy to get a little complacent. Well, that's not good enough. And so we need to learn to play with that desperation. I think it helps every team. And this time of year, that's how most teams who have success, finishing strong, that's how you're playing.
So you concede nothing. You think you have something to play for?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely we do. I would concede nothing. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I've seen teams put things together at the right time. And, you run into hot goalie. You were looking at a press release right there from 1985, where our team had everything going. And we hit a wall that we couldn't get a puck by the guy, and it changed the complexion of our season. And frankly, it kept their season going. They got right to the national championship game. So I'm not trying to be impractical, but at the same time, I'm looking at so many games that mistakes are costing us games where if we can continue to mature and get over that hump and see it start to swing the other way, boy, the margin for error or the margin to swing things isn't that great. We just have to find a way. So, no, I don't. You keep playing.
Was this the 2-1 game?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that was
the 2-1 game to Providence.
If that,
2 games.
Yeah,
They won the first one.
Oh, it was total goals then.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
2 games total goals back then.
Maybe
I think the
this
second was 3-2.
3-2. Right.
I just stumbled. I was looking for some old stuff, and I stumbled on that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. What do you remember about senior night?
See, my own senior night. I don't remember who we played. I remember.
Played Miami. No. We won Chicago.
You know that.
I do remember going through the ceremony, which was awesome. But there again, I don't know. You just kept looking forward to playing. It wasn't the end of anything. At least it didn't seem like it at the time, and probably didn't appreciate things the way you'd like to appreciate it. I remember the celebration of it, which was great. I remember being part of a great team and a great class. So I remember all those sorts of things. But other than that,
Looks like here you lost that game 7-4.
we did, huh?
Yeah, the Illinois Chicago.
So it probably wasn't such a good night.
You ever get concerned that your players get so caught up in the motion that they kind of leave the game with their mother's flowers, or if you will, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I know Coach Mason used to think that, was concerned about that all the time. That team that you're just talking about, we only lost 5 or 6 games all year that year, and we lost that game at home. So the emotion of it can get to you for sure. We've changed the format a little bit, and really that was driven by the players last year, because I had kept things kind of the same, and when you do something pre-game, your time is pretty tight, and so we had a very large group last year, and so we didn't feel that it would be fitting to jam everybody in. And so I gave them the option, would you prefer to do it before the game or after the game? And they all preferred after the game. And then after we did it, they were so happy with the way it went after the game that they suggested that we stay that course, because we're going to do that again. And so I would, I hope our fans understand. I know it breaks with what we had done for so many years, and even the first 4 years I was here. But for the players, what they told me is they got to enjoy it with their families. They got to enjoy it more with their teammates. They got to enjoy it with some fans. And there wasn't this time restraint that we have pregame. And so I had talked to other sports, and other sports more often than not did it after the game. And so, we thought we'd try it one year, and then the feedback we got from our own players was to stay the course.
It seemed to be like a celebration on the ice last year.
It was. That was the nice part, is they got to enjoy being on the ice in the uniform. Their families got to come down to ice level. It was just different,
Yeah.
Did you lose that game?
Last year, you win.
Shootout win.
So that's the risk, right? That you don't win, and then the mood is just sort of.
Yep.
I remember the basketball team of the year Brandon Dawson tore up his knee, and they lost the Big Ten title, and then had a senior day celebration.
That is the risk, without a doubt. And I've seen that in different sports. We've been the visitor for teams where that's taken place. Yeah. That's right. So it is the risk, but I do think, again, and maybe that's part of it, because you end on a high, and so that goes into the mix. But overwhelmingly, the players said that last year, overwhelmingly. And I was really concerned about changing with kind of what had taken place. But to me, it's about them and their experience here and their families and their interaction with the fans. And if this is what gives them the best opportunity to enjoy that, then I think that's the way to go.
So you said if you win the right games, it gives you a chance to progress. What do you mean by that?
Well, as you're playing down the stretch, regardless of how your season goes, let's just assume in the Big Ten tournament, if we won 3 games in a row, you can win a Big Ten tournament championship, and you can progress into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So that's all I mean for those teams who get into the NCAA tournament, regardless of how you get in, if you win the right games, you might get yourself into the Frozen Four. You have to win 2 games to get into a Frozen Four. So hot goalies, team that just seems to come together at the right time. For me, I'm not sitting here talking every day to our team about those things. We're talking about getting better, the team, playing and having success against the team that's right in front of us the next game. But as part of that process, you have to maintain hope that any night you have a chance to win. And I think our team does. I don't think I'm making that up. Against any team we've played, we've had that opportunity, and we haven't been able to get over the hump, whether it was Minnesota when they were here, whether it's against Wisconsin, even early in the season when our team was really inexperienced. I thought we played real well against Denver, played well at North Dakota, but we haven't done it with the 60-minute consistency that's necessary to compete at a championship level, and that's where we have to get to.